We continue this afternoon's press conference. We have head coach Pascal Jansen. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll go with Roberto.
Hi, Pascal.
Hi, Roberto.
You've mentioned, and probably going to do this to the end of the season, you had 10 finals. We spoke a little bit after the game, and you were obviously very pleased with the game that you had against Cincinnati, how they came out and everything. What was the difference, and how did you get the team to start that way versus what happened against Nashville?
Of course, we had our review of the game against Nashville and keep addressing the things that we said from day one in order to improve is to learn the lessons from each and every game. And this was a big lesson to learn going forward from the Nashville game. And when you have to compete at this level, you cannot afford to start matches that way. And we've had that a couple of times. So sometimes you think we're a little slow in learning, and this was a good moment to show that we're fast learners, and so it was on pitch.
The team is probably going through its best point of the year so far, but throughout the season, you've had a much better record against winning teams versus losing teams. Now, since DC only has one win in their last 17 MLS games since May 3rd, how do you avoid what we call here a classic trap game against DC?
Yeah, that's the interesting one because we're coming off two quite impressive results and pretty decent games. For us, it's simple. You mentioned it in the beginning of your first question. It's about the finals that we're playing. So it doesn't matter who we play. It's about us and only us and how we're going to proceed going forward to get ourselves into the playoffs in the best possible shape. And DC is one of the teams that we have to face. And as I said, we'll be focusing on ourselves and nothing else. Their results haven't gone their way, but that is something that we just take with us in preparing this match. But then it's again all about ourselves.
It's not the same level, but just for comparison's sake, does it help your argument in all of this of what happened to Manchester United yesterday? The fact that they're playing a team that they expected to beat and then they didn't?
Yeah, it's for me, it's a little too simple. Obviously, Manchester United had a horrific night yesterday in England. I feel for the coach. On the other hand, it's the expectation that is there. You represent one of the biggest clubs in the world, and you play against a League Two team, so everybody expects you to win. Anything else than that is humiliation, and that's how it works in our world. And I think the coaches and the players realize this themselves very well. On our level, we've had the moment in Pittsburgh, which was also a big deception for us. But as I mentioned just now in a few other questions you asked, it's about learning and making progress, and that's what we're focusing on.
Thank you.
All right.
Oliver?
Hi, thank you. This is Oliver Strand with Hudson River Blue.
Hi, Oliver.
Hi. The last two games were won with goals in the second half, and the performances by NYCFC in the second half were really strong. So, one, I'm curious about what halftime is like. Do you give a speech? Is it motivational? Is it tactical? And also, how much are you changing and adjusting, or how much are you sticking with a plan that bears fruit in the second half?
Well, we'll always have to see what happens or what happened during the first half in order to address the things that we need to address during halftime. So taking that in account, that decides and determines how I go into the dressing room to address my team and getting them prepped and ready for the second half. Nashville was an interesting one because we had a very slow start. Went behind against one of the better teams in the league, and then we had the weather delay just after we scored the equalizer. So the whole scenario for the first game, for the game against Nashville, is nowhere near to compare with the game against Cincinnati. So that also determines again what is being dealt with during halftime.
Chris?
Hey, Coach. Chris Campbell from the outfield.
Hi.
DC hasn't played very well so far this year, but they do present an interesting challenge. They lead the league in long ball attempts. Christian Benteke leads the league by far in aerial duels won. What kind of challenges present to your team, and how do you look to defend them? Thanks.
And
Well, that's going to be an interesting one. If you look at the play styles from the previous two opponents, it's not slightly different, but a big difference compared to the strategy that DC has used in the previous games. So as you mentioned just now, the aerial game is going to be part of the game, especially when DC has possession. So we'll have to deal with that and make sure that we either get good pressure on the first pass going forward, or make sure that we challenge the first duels and make sure that we control the second or the third play coming from the first duel, and then focus mainly on maintaining the ball and taking care of the possession that we have to have in this game in order to get our own dangerous play going forward.
Jonathan?
Hey Pascal, Jonathan Mack, AM New York.
Hi, John.
Hey Pascal. I just wanted to ask, is there a worry amongst you and the coaching staff that there is an over-reliance of goals from Alonso Martinez? And if so, what are some things that you guys are doing to spread the goals throughout the squad?
No, we're not worried at all about that. Alonso is our top striker, as many clubs have a top striker who represents a huge amount of scoring goals for their sides. That's no difference to our team. I think Hannes is also in a good moment, in a good space, scoring his goals and making sure that he has the assist. Pepe is joining in more. We have Nico, who's been added to the team, Maxi, who prepares goals. So we're not worried about that aspect at all.
Thanks, Pascal.
Back in the room, Gorto.
Pascal, Perea got hurt during the game and he had to be substituted out. Can you give us some progress report on how he's doing and if there are any other injuries on the squad?
Pepe is available, so he's back in the squad and ready to play for tomorrow. The others are the usuals, unfortunately. Keats, Malachi is not available. Nico Carvalho is on his way back, but not available yet. So it's looking like Nico might be available again after the FIFA break.
Back to the Zoom, Michael.
Pascal, I was curious, I guess for two. First, an update on Raul Gustavo, but then second, I might be oversimplifying it, but you said that you're treating these last 10 games as finals. What's different about that than, the first 10 games of the season or the first 20 games of the season?
Well, the approach is not different, but you're in the final stage of the season, and as you probably know as well as I do, the first part of the season you have to make sure that you're still in the game and don't give it away, and ending up chasing the league because you didn't start well. Then the mid part of the season is creating the stability and making sure that you are ready to go into this final phase, and this final phase is all about making sure that you get to that point where you need to be in order to get ready for the playoffs and be in the playoffs, of course. So, and this is the phase in the league where this is going to be determined. So for us, it was very important to be part of this, part of the ranking going forward into the playoffs and having a chance to go into the playoffs, and then making sure that you treat it the best you can in order to get into the best possible shape competing for these playoffs. The second part is Raul, if I'm correct. Yeah, Raul is in the country since yesterday and trained with the squad today. So that's looking good, and we're very happy that he was able to join us.
Dennis.
Thank you, Pascal, for your time. Dennis Gomez from Classic from Washington, D.C. Just want to know, what areas do you think would be key battles on the field against DC United, who comes off tying Inter Miami at home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the two previous results are positive from the DC perspective. If you get a draw against one of the strongest teams in the league, Miami, that's huge, considering the fact where DC is at the moment in the league and what happened at the club. So they will use these positive moments going forward and making sure that they try to end the season as strong as they can. At the moment, they're not in a good position because they're not able to get into the playoffs anymore. But looking ahead and making sure that you have a competitive side going to the final stages of the league season, that is what they're looking for. So for us, it's very important that we are aware of this, and making sure that we focus on our own targets. And that is what I explained to you guys just now. Our main goal is to get ourselves into the playoffs in the best possible shape.
Christian?
Hi, Coach. There have been 7 games where Aidan O'Neill's attempted over 50 passes. You've won 6 and only drawn 1. What does it say about the team and their ability to win games when he's on the ball more consistently?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's those are numbers that we're looking at as well. Aidan and myself, we have conversations on a regular basis, making sure that the game plan and the game understanding is there and develops itself. And his part and his role within this process is huge. And that is one of the things that we discussed when he was interested to come and do this project. So it shows that Aidan is feeling good and making sure that he understands how we want to play in and out of possession, and the team realizes the qualities of Aidan and vice versa as well.
Great. Thank you, everybody.